What's going on, YouTube? Um, been checking out reports lately about my man Katt Williams pulling the Kramer out here in Phoenix, Arizona. You know, I'm new to Arizona, and I'm starting to get acquainted with the fight that the Latino community is having right now with America and the laws in America and how and how, or I should say, Arizona, and how they being treated and discriminated against in Arizona as of right now. Still learning, but in the middle of me learning, this Katt Williams thing come out. So I just want to say this real quick. Um, Man, first off, fight. You know, keep fighting, but learn what you're fighting for. You know, to Katt Williams, that was foul, homie. It ain't no other way around. Or not, ain't no other way around it. To the dude he was talking to, you was foul too, because you was heckling that dude. Whatever he said in the joke, you took it personal and you acted out about it, plain and simple. And you acted out to a comedian. His job is to talk crazy. That's why you liked him in the first place. This is why Mexicans and black people and white people and everybody else supported Katt Williams in the first place. Because he was funny. Because if you talk crazy about Katt Williams, he gonna talk to you. He gonna talk through his nose and say something like a pimp, and it's gonna come out funny, but it's gonna be super real, and that's how it's gonna be. And it was gonna make you laugh, and that's what it was because it was real. The same reason why we liked half the other comedians, from Dave Chappelle to Carlos Mencia and everybody else back who's ever done it, because if they can be real and they can funny, we can be funny, we can relate to the jokes. So you set yourself up by heckling that dude. You did that. Take your hit. Now, Mr. Katt Williams, that does not does not remove you from being accountable for what comes out of your tongue. Because just like he had to be accountable for heckling you, you got to be accountable for how you respond to it. You a grown man, dog. That was low. And it ain't low because it was truthful. It wasn't truthful because a lot of it was truthful and factually based. Not all of it, but a lot of it. But the fact that you did it tactlessly. You know, sometimes the truth hurts, and that was real tactless. Now let's talk about the truth. Um, a lot of times in this struggle, you know, we hear the terms that, you know, the Mexican struggle is just like the black struggle. That's a lie. That is the number one straight up lie. It's huge differences, and the biggest two differences is culture and homeland. You know, if you look at, you ask a Mexican person where they from in Mexico, they can tell you. You know, my grandparents was here, my granddad was here. They can tell you where their parents were before they immigrated, their great parents, great grandparents, whoever who was the first person in their family to immigrate into America. They can tell you that, which means they can tell you where they was from, which means they can give you a whole line of history, tell you what city they was from, and then they so cold with it, they love their country so much, they ride around with it on the back of their truck. So I know what city you from, I can see it. Yeah, it's on the back of your truck. So when you talk like that, how can I not say that you have you're in touch with your culture? And there's nothing wrong with that. Let me put it like that. We black people, we can't do that. You ask us where we from, we gonna tell you Africa. Africa is not a country. It's not a city. It's not a state. It's not a region. It's not an area. It's a continent. Y'all don't say I'm from Central America. You say I'm from Mexico. Then you say I'm from Woot Woot Wah Wah Wham in Mexico. I'm from this particular place in Mexico. All we can say is Africa. And the only reason why I can assume Africa is because my skin is dark. I don't know what country, therefore I don't know what state or whatever in that country. I don't know what city in that state. I don't know what tribal land or what tribe they pulled me from. I don't know my ancestors. I was completely cut off. African Americans were completely cut off from Africa. So we're not African Americans. We don't know nothing. We can't say we culturally African, but we bloodline American or we location American. We can't say that. Our culture started in slavery. So therefore, our culture started since slavery was in America. Our culture started in America. So when we had our equality rights and everything else. We wasn't trying to fight for equal rights because of what America did to Africa. We was fighting for equal rights of how they treated black people in America for us to have peace and equality in America. Period. So our thing and where the confusion lies right now, which needs to be set up if you're gonna fight, because fundamentally this is what's stopping the Mexican struggle. It's unclear whether we fighting for peace in America or we fighting for Mexico. Straight up, can't be no more realer than that. Because if we fighting for peace in America, you people got your back, man. Because everybody wants you to have peace. It's white people who want you to have peace. Not every white man is out to get you. Not every white man is out to get us. You know, if you fight for peace in America, we got your back. But it gets misconstrued a lot of the times when as soon as something happened, people start repping Mexico, and it's like, okay, are we fighting for Mexico or America? You know what I'm saying? Because if we fighting for Mexico, I can't be involved in that. I can't. I can't, because it's jacked up and just messed up as America is. America is still home. You know, I can't go back to Africa because I don't even know where in Africa to go to. I could just pick a spot and land there, but what do I do? You know, so instead, the intelligent thing to do is to move forward from where I am now and make peace where I am. I don't know the language. Unless they speak English in a lot of countries out there. I know I'm not crazy, but I don't know the culture. I don't know nothing. So why don't I have peace where I am? You know, and the same thing goes with the Mexicans. You know, you got to get past some things. You know, what happened in history is messed up. The bloodshed that it took for America to reach from 13 original colonies to the 50th state is jacked up. Every time they got a state, they had to lie to somebody, kill somebody, give somebody syphilis, or give somebody some jacked up disease in a blanket and kill off half a population. That's how America grew. And they said that America was manifest destiny. God gave it to them. That's a lie. Because if God gave it to you, you ain't got to lie, cheat, steal, or kill to keep it or get it or anything else. So that's a lie. But what they did was messed up, and that was history. We can continue fighting for history. But if we're going to continue fighting for history, then what we fighting over is we really actually fighting to get California back to Mexico. We fighting to get the American Southwest back to Mexico. We trying to rebuild the Alamo. If we do that, black people can't be involved because we can't go to Mexico. We're not born in Mexico, so we don't have. And actually, half the Mexicans all the Mexicans born in America can't go back to Mexico. Mexican law says that you can't even own property in Mexico. Around it's 62 miles from any Mexican border and 31 miles. That's 100 kilometers and 50 kilometers from a coastline. They do kilometers out there. They don't do miles. The reason why that's important is because that leaves the interior. Mexico has a northern border, a southern border, two coastlines, and an interior. They cut us off. What's on the interior? Acapulco, all the other little countries that you go to, Puerto Vallarta, all those countries, all the little cities that you go to on spring break and for vacation and stuff. And on the border is where all the money is. You know, some of the car companies from Detroit moved into Mexico, but they moved just into Mexico. So within that 100 miles, we can't even own. When that first 100 miles of that, we can't even own land. But that's where all the money is being made and shipped out. You see what I'm saying? So if we fight to give Mexico back to Mexico, to give this part of America back to Mexico, we fighting to be put right back in the same situation we are now. Matter of fact, the same situation we were in the 30s and 40s, where we couldn't own land, where we were sharecroppers. We don't want that. So the divide got to be made. If Mexicans are gonna fight, we want you to fight. We think you're being done jacked up. I personally think it's messed up, some of the stuff that go on in America, but at the hands of Mexicans. I mean at the hand of Americans toward Mexicans. I think the Minutemen are sometimes foul for the things they do. The SOS, all them other organizations are jacked up because it's a lot of racial undertones behind it. They're not protecting America, because if they really were, they would be set up at Canada's border too, because then you could at least stop the drugs from coming into America. It seems like all you want to do is stop the people. But at the northern border, more drugs coming to the northern border of Canada than they do Mexico. Matter of fact, the easiest way to get drugs into America is to fly over America, come into Canada, and drive in. So if you was really going to fight for something, Mr. Minuteman, go stand at the northern border too. But you ain't going to do that though, right? Because it's not about America, it's about the Mexicans. We understand that. We understand this racism. We really do. But like I'm saying, we're not going to be put into a situation where we're going to fight to free Mexico and then be sitting right back, reverting back to history. So if this fight is going to happen, whatever fight for equality needs to happen in America, people need to understand what they're really fighting for. People are destroyed by lack of knowledge. That's why we're not going to get nowhere. That's why this fight between Mexico and America is not going to happen, because they continuously looking at it like terrorism. If you fighting to remove part of America from America, that's how these white people is looking at it. That's terrorism. And they look at it like that because the youth, when we get all riled up, we say the wrong things. It's time to start saying the right things, get an initiative, put some points out there, get some key programs out, and fight for what really matters. That's why they killed Huey Newton, because he understood the plan. He understood what his true battle was. He had points of literature and everything else, and he stood in the streets and he gave them to young children. That's why the Black Panther Party was disseminated like that. It had to be. It had to be. Because they were doing things the right way. The reason why little Mexican kids and little groups are still allowed to talk is because when they come out their mouth, they oftentimes, or sometimes, however you want to put it, sound foolish. So they got you beat automatically. When you come and speak, you got to speak the right way, or we ain't gonna do it. And we can't help you. We can't help you in the war if that's what you're gonna do. That needs to be clarified. That needs to be clarified. If we're gonna fight for peace in America, or if we're gonna fight to give America back to Mexico, and that's what Katt Williams was saying in that whole thing. That if what you fighting for is to get Mexico back, because that's all we hear over and over again, go back to Mexico. Just like black people who run around with dashikis and afros and all the other stuff and complain about Africa this, Africa that, Africa this, go back to Africa. But you're not going to go because you don't know how to hunt a zebra. Exactly. You're not going to go. And I know that's not how Africa looks. That was racist, but it was a joke. And that's just how it is. So in closing, Latin Americans, we got y'all backs. We understand we divided on a few things. We understand that it's topics of discussion that need to be divided out. But you guys are going to lose if the points are not set up properly. And coming from an outside in, I'm just not stepping into this. It ain't looking like they set up all the way. And that's just real conversation. That's just me being 100% real to you. I wish you the best. Like I said, Katt Williams, man, cut that, man. You got to do something about that. And as we start responding to this, don't just jump off saying all of a sudden that Katt Williams messed up black and Mexican relations and all this other stuff. Because if you're going to let one man mess up all black and Mexican relations, I can think about every Mexican man who ever called me a nigga and then pulled off bumping Tupac. Come on, that happened. We're not going to do that. So let's keep the peace talk coming. Let's keep the peace talk coming. And at the same time, let's plan on doing some real things. Otherwise, we can cancel Christmas. We can go back to black versus brown. And we know that's not going to happen because there's too much love being set up as it is through everything from hip hop to news sites to just the infusion of both cultures. Man, we can do this. And we can do this for the peace of an entire country and not just to get back at somebody for doing something to us in our past, because they jacked us up and they jacked y'all up, and we can come together and make whatever peace we want to. You know what I'm saying? But peace moves forward. Peace does not move backwards. Peace.